Welcome to Ask the Expert, an award-winning daily series from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. to help small businesses. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments of the live feed. If you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. During the live session, we'll be running a poll, so please do engage with it, and I'll reveal the result at the end of the show. I'm Victoria Sheppard, and I'm co-founder of Queens of Mayfair, an artisan coffee shop in the heart of Mayfair, London. I'm also a director of Juliet Knightsbridge, which is a new opening in Harrods, and I'm soon to open a spirits company with my sister and Queen's co-founder. Our businesses are all based in the luxury hospitality sector, and all three of those companies have opened in the last 12 months since COVID. And today we'll be discussing launching a business within the pandemic and how past business data may not necessarily be relevant in launching and progressing a business in the coming unprecedented times. The way that we now access consumers is different to how we imagined before, and consumer behaviours changed, and also the possibilities for travel, which has meant that if your business has a reliance on international tourism or clientele, that potentially you will need to adjust your marketing strategy to be able to engage with a new demographic of clients to try and fill in the gaps where your previous ones may not be there. So don't rely on old data, and creativity is required to acquire new customers. With that said, it's important to be adaptable and to change and grow with the business if you're finding that your existing methods are not working. An example of this would be that within our concession, within a large department store in London, in Harrods, that generally is a business reliant on international clients at the moment, where travel, especially from the far and Middle East, is not frequent. We are now relying on a local consumer base. So as an example there, we will engage more with local businesses and residents where we previously wouldn't. Ideas and ways of doing this would be to speak to local estate agents, local beauty salons, for example, if you have a particularly female clientele, and residents associations are a really good way of getting in touch within a short reach or a small footfall distance of your premises. And also to look at other opportunities and routes to source data and acquire customers. So in the instance of luxury hospitality, we'll quite often work with concierge companies, and these could be organisations that are connected to credit cards or private banks, such as American Express or Coutts, who have clients very relevant to the products and services that we offer. So for our businesses, we do go down that route. The other opportunities lie within local marketing. So within the London hospitality sector and luxury lifestyle sector, there are many newsletters that it's possible to engage with and that are sent out on almost a daily basis. And quite often there are creative ways to engage in those if you don't have a huge marketing budget, and that could be by offering a competition, for example. A recent scenario that we've used this within our business is to offer a competition for complimentary brunch and a bottle of wine. And within that, you encourage the entrants to engage with your social media. So a follow is kind of required as part of the competition entry. So you engage the potential entrants to the competition with your social media, you're raising business awareness, it's driving traffic to the website of the platform that is running the competition, and you're also making consumers aware that you exist. And the cost is relatively low of giving away a breakfast or a lunch or something compared with traditional advertising and marketing methods. The other ways that we're accessing consumers is with loyalty. So that could be rewarding guests for multiple visits. And this is something that we specifically do at Queens of Mayfair, as the transaction values are relatively low. So people are coming in and potentially spending anywhere between £5 and £20 on a regular basis. And we make our rewards regular. So instead of it being, purchase 10 coffees or cocktails and get one complimentary, that we'll do it every fourth or fifth visit, which again encourages guests to frequent our establishment more regularly. All of these kind of schemes are adaptable to your type of business. Whether you're, for example, a hair salon, it may be that after 4 visits you'll do a complimentary blow dry, and that loyalty that you're gaining from the customer is worth far more in the long term and making visiting your business a habit for them than it is to potentially lose those customers and they go elsewhere. Shortly we'll be moving on to your questions, which will be coming in live through Twitter, Instagram, and direct message to Intuit. So I will be taking those shortly. Please do send in any questions regarding marketing, luxury businesses, or growing your business post-pandemic. I'm going to move on to the questions now, and the first one is from Gabby on Twitter DMs. Do you think starting a new business is harder or easier since the pandemic, and why? I would definitely say, unfortunately, it's harder, much harder, as you're also kind of at the mercy of the uncertainty of what's coming forward. So it's really difficult to plan, especially, within most sectors, whether it's retail, hospitality or otherwise. We've been shut down multiple times throughout the last 18 months. And we don't know whether that's potentially coming again. I think the restrictions on travel also make that much harder. And the fact that it's very difficult to plan everything, definitely in our cases, from staff through to stock levels, opening hours. We really don't know what's ahead. And also, again, relying on data, as in we know that we'll be busy on certain days of the week. That's all adjusting constantly at the moment. So nothing is in kind of the patterns that we've been used to for many previous years or even decades. So unfortunately, from my experience, it's harder. Next question is from Kelsey on Facebook Messenger. I'm a PR and marketing freelancer registered as a sole trader. I'm considering starting my own agency and setting it up as a business. I've never done this before. What would you say my first steps and key considerations are? I think registering as a sole trader actually protects you a little more, and it may give your clients some more certainty if you're a registered company. And I would say create an identity for yourself. So have you got a brand, a logo, a website? All of these things are really important so that you've got as much opportunity as possible to acquire clients through digital channels especially. And it may also help in terms of recommendations as well, that if you've got some kind of entity, it doesn't need to be physical, as the world is moving away from that. But I think, attaining clients should be slightly easier when you are registered as a sole trader. And in terms of first steps, I absolutely refer to the HMRC website, and it's actually a really, really easy thing to do through the website. And just make sure that you have platforms such as QuickBooks to help you with your financial matters as well. But best of luck with that. Rob on Instagram DMs, running 3 businesses sounds like a lot of hard work. How do you split your time between the 3 of them? It's a good question. In terms of the business demands will depend on how I split my time. So, for example, the relaunch of Queen's happened when we were allowed to open in May. So that was a very, very busy period, and lots of my attention was focused there. And then the Harrods pop-up started in June. So then I would kind of take attention slightly off of Queen's and focus it on Harrods. And quite often where my businesses are all linked together, as I mentioned, they're within luxury hospitality, there'll be an inquiry that might come through from one that can benefit the other and vice versa. And where I can, if, for example, it's engaging with a journalist or a platform that's for promoting the business, is actually an easier tool for negotiation to be able to kind of offer 2 venues. So sometimes that may result in a discount of some sort. So if you're engaging with a journalist and they're writing about wine bars in central London, for example, I can say, why not come to both? So where possible, I use it to cross promote both of my businesses. But it's definitely challenging, and with running one business, it's already lots of juggling, but when you add a couple more into the mix, it is challenging. But this startup stage of each business won't be forever, and that's a very labour intensive part of the business growth. So hopefully it will be steadier in the months ahead. Maureen on Twitter DMs, do you think customer behaviours will change again now that lockdown has ended, or will it revert or stay the same as it has been the last year, or maybe something new? I think that consumer behaviour is totally unpredictable. I don't believe it will go back to how it was previously, because the world is not as it ever has been before. I think it depends entirely on the industry as well. I mean, I think we're seeing just as food shopping as example, there's been a huge shift to online with retail, again, a massive online shift. People aren't physically browsing anymore. And that could be both convenience, and it may also be an element of safety or concern, worry about COVID. Moreover, lots of people that were living in very central London have actually moved away, may have even moved country, which is definitely been the case in hospitality, where lots of our staff and workers originated from various countries in Europe, such as Italy, Spain, Portugal, Poland and beyond. Those workers went home during the pandemic and haven't come back. And again, these are massive consumers across our nation. So yeah, I think it'll be something new that we haven't seen before. Experiences and special occasions seem to be celebrating in a big way now, where people haven't been able to do those things or celebrate special occasions during lockdown. So we are seeing kind of more extravagant parties maybe, or being booked definitely for the future, maybe not as regularly, but I think people definitely want to celebrate the fact that they're back with family and friends again, or even, you know, promotions for work events. So I think there's definitely a focus to make those occasions even more special than ever before. Next question is from Daisy on Facebook Messenger. Business is going well for me again now, and as a result, I'm finding I'm busier than ever. I'm hoping to free up some time by acquiring some digital solutions. Do you have any apps or time-saving recommendations? In terms of setting up apps and things to help you, I guess it really depends on what field you're in. As hospitality, we always use reservation platforms, which really help, say, keeping digital diaries. I would potentially block out time in your diary and maybe even share it with people on your team if you have one, so that you say, look, I don't want to be bothered on a Wednesday afternoon. That's kind of my time away from the office and the work. So maybe consciously book out that time in your diary just to do something that you specifically want to do. I can't remember the exact names of them, but I have in the past used certain apps that you can create to-do lists, and having those saved in a digital place is often quite helpful, kind of like a post-it note, and you can tick it off and I guess have a sense of achievement for getting through your to-do list. But otherwise, I'd say, if you're looking to free up some time, just watch how you manage it. Watch, if you commute in and out of town, maybe try and condense your meetings just into 1 or 2 days a week, which is something I actually do quite regularly, so that I've got days of meetings and days of admin where I can actually action the meetings. So I hope that helps. Philippa on Twitter DMs, you mentioned tapping into other data sources like consumer or local databases. How do you find these sources, particularly when it's external? So for me, within our businesses, just to give you a very local context, within Mayfair, there's a Mayfair and St James's Resident Association. So you contact them. Usually the fees are really, really low to join these things, like a couple of £100, if that, for 12 months. And within that, it's all business and residents within your specific borough, if you're in London, or community. And there are these kind of groups across the whole of London. And for us, we can let them know, we can give them local residents discounts, so that when they come to our till point, they say, I'm a Mayfair resident, and they know that they're entitled to a certain discount. And we kind of log their details within our system, the same for local businesses. And again, that encourages regular engagement within these communities. If we ever have a newsletter that we send out to our general customers, or if we have any special news, I just have to email the residents committee. And again, they send that out to the thousands of people within our very immediate vicinity. And it could also be if we've got a menu launch, or we want to try something out, or we've got potentially a drink sponsor that wants to do a cocktail evening, to again engage with a specific clientele. That's a really good way of getting people in and giving back. So, for example, if you've got a Christmas party or a summer party, that's a really great opportunity. Again, dependent on your business, I've also worked really closely with PA networks, and they are people that are often booking event spaces and dining, private dining specifically, for senior business leaders. So engaging with that community is also really important, and that could work within various industries as well. So just I'd absolutely recommend, whatever area you live in, see kind of what local business groups there are. Facebook's a really good resource for finding those as well. If not, LinkedIn is fantastic. So good luck. Next question is from Neve on Instagram DMs. I love your advice on thinking creatively and being innovative. If you're on a bit of a creative rut, though, do you have, if you're in a creative rut, do you have any advice of how to break out of it? I would say collaborate with people, try and meet with small business owners and just bounce ideas off of each other, or even if you've got friends that are entrepreneurs. So just as an example, I'm part of a business network called Adorium, and there are business owners, hundreds of them, from every imaginable sector, from floristry to landowners, through to watchmakers, and speaking to different business owners on how they engage with their customers is also really insightful. So that could be good for you. Or, maybe experiment with a small event and see how that goes. And look at your database and see, what would my clients like? Again, I don't know what your business is, but do you think your clients are receptive to discounts? Are they receptive to certain brand affiliations? So again, within hospitality, we know that our clients absolutely love Mirabeau gin, for example, or a certain brand of champagne. So we'll be conscious to make sure we're engaging with brands that have clients like ours. And also, when you're engaging with brands, especially ones that have great social media, it can be a really great boost for your own business, to kind of piggyback almost on someone else's following, and they'll be doing exactly the same with yours. So it's a really nice cross promotion and synergy if the brands fit. Next question is from Connor on Twitter DMs. Any advice on how to approach PR if you've never done it before? I work in the hospitality sector as well and want to capitalize on the end of lockdown and finding new customers. I would say look at your offering. Again, I'm not sure if you're kind of on the quick service or you're an independent, or perhaps you're a chain, but look at how you can engage in the media. So is there something that you can hook onto? Are you doing a bottomless brunch or a partnership with a certain drinks brand or supplier? For example, have you got an amazing truffle supplier? And in which case, which journalists do you think, or which publications do you think would be a good fit for that? And then have a look on their website, and you'll always be able to look for editors or content writers within these specific publications. So one that I'm working with at the moment is an online newsletter and platform called The Handbook. And if you go online, have a look at the best or who's been writing the other articles about businesses like yours, and then maybe follow that journalist on Instagram or contact them via LinkedIn. That's a really good personal way to get in touch with them. But try and be creative, look at the kind of articles that are already on the platforms that you want to be in and go from there. But I think also be realistic and do PR for a reason that is going to actually create traction in terms of driving revenue to your business. So if your business is in London, it may not be necessary to have national press in lots of cases, as you need to drive it from close proximities. There are also, if you're investing in social media advertising, so advertising through Twitter or LinkedIn, Instagram and Facebook, you can set parameters of where you actually want your customers to be. So if you do go down that kind of paid marketing approach as well, I just don't set the net too wide unless your business is kind of dotted all over the country. Jackson on Facebook Messenger. I run a hotel and we're booked out for a full year and a half since travel was allowed again. That's fantastic, but we won't make enough money over those bookings to cover debts racked up over the forced closures. Any advice on creating new revenue streams? That's really, really amazing. I would say upsell as much as possible and create fantastic experiences for when your guests are at the hotel, to kind of keep them on site and not having them go elsewhere. So maybe you could do an optional dinner package upon check-in? Have you got spa facilities? If not, could you perhaps look at employing a freelance beauty therapist or masseuse or something, which again, the margins are really good if you're paying that person an hourly rate, and you can pass those charges on and a bit more to the guests. Yeah, I'd look to capitalize on all of those people that you've got coming through the door that clearly want to already engage with your brand, and I'm sure that would be incredible. And I'd say as well, if you have racked up any debts with bounce back loans and things, I know there's lots of promotions at the moment, or lots of communications from banks saying just to speak to them, and there are kind of payment holiday or extension options and things. So definitely have a look online at those. Next question is from Zach on Twitter DMs. Operating a coffee place during lockdown must have been really difficult. How did you flex the business to make sure it maintained its cash flow? Yes, was very difficult indeed. So we opened for the first time in August last year. We were due to open in March, but it didn't quite happen due to hospitality having a forced closure. But what we did was offer takeaway, get onto platforms such as Supper, Just Eat, Deliveroo, so that we can ensure that we're on as many platforms as possible to kind of operate our revenue or maximize our revenue streams. And probably that's a good one for the person before that inquired about revenue for his hotel. Make sure that you're on all of those delivery platforms, as there may be people within the local vicinity who want a hotel at home experience of some sort, or food deliveries from your hotel. So that's worth the look. Something we also did was ensure that we were very tightly staffed. So when we were open for takeaway, we would kind of keep stock and staff to a minimum. So again, ensure that we were serving food with low wastage, or maybe had things that had a reasonable shelf life on them. And also kind of look for the times that we were open and not just doing takeaway, to make sure that we weren't ever overstaffed at any point, and to look at our bookings that were in the diary to make sure we had the right cover for right number of days. And you can even do things going down to the weather forecast, you know, that if it was absolutely pouring, that it would probably be a little bit quieter, unfortunately. But again, we also kind of looked at our revenue streams and offered things such as Christmas hampers. So whilst we actually had to be shut as a business over the Christmas period, we sold hundreds and hundreds of champagne hampers that big corporates down to local independent businesses were ordering from us. So that kind of really saw us through the winter period. So again, it's about being creative. The other thing that's great, again, could work for the hotel and the coffee shop or similar business, is to offer gift vouchers and gift experiences. And we're finding that that's kind of immediate cash flow, obviously, when you sell those vouchers, and it keeps people coming back throughout the periods when you are open, and potentially there's opportunity for additional spend when those guests visit. Next question is Susanna on Instagram DMs. Queens of Mayfair is more than just a coffee shop, thanks to the way you've managed the PR. What are some of the strategies you've used to promote your business that were a success? We were really lucky with the PR, so I did all of the PR for business myself, and one of the reasons was that I've worked in the hospitality and luxury PR for a long time, so I had some great contacts. But we also did a very clever, and it wasn't intended to be this big, but sold the most expensive coffee in the UK, which was at £50 per serving. And that gained us international press. But it wasn't actually on the luxury angle that people found that interesting. It was that it was the most sustainable and fair trade coffee. So I would say find something really relevant and topical like sustainability and fair trade within the coffee industry, if that's your industry, and kind of go down that route. We're wrapping things up now by going to have a look at the poll results. And we asked you, do you feel confident about business recovery over the next 6 months? 50% of you said yes, and the other 50% said no. And I think that pretty much sums things up, that we don't actually know. The majority of people don't know what lies ahead. It is really unpredictable at the moment, and we don't know what's around the corner. I think if you're in the position to support other businesses, then absolutely spending during this time is amazing and will especially help independent businesses. So business owners are obviously crying out for, small business owners especially, are crying out for people to come and shop with them and shop locally. And thank you for all tuning in this morning. If you want to get in contact with me, you can send me a DM on LinkedIn. I'm Victoria Sheppard, and check out Queens of Mayfair on Instagram. Coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Sean Goldsmith, who's a multi-brand franchiser. Tune in to get advice on strategic planning, building a franchise, and going global. I think I'll tune in for that as well. A reminder that if you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. Really enjoyed answering your questions this morning, and have a great day.